For years, Electronic Theater Controls has built a reputation for creating exceptional entertainment lighting equipment that combines simple operation with sophisticated performance. Now, ETC continues this tradition with the Idea. Idea combines the simplicity of a two-scene preset board with the sophisticated performance of an electronic memory console. Once you see what the Idea can do, I'm sure you'll be as excited about it as we are. This video is designed to provide an overview of the functions and capabilities of the Idea and to help you start using the console. For more in-depth information, refer to the user manual shipped with the console. Let's start with an overview of the Idea console itself. Idea controls up to 512 dimmers. It's available in 12, 24, 36 or 48 channel configurations. Idea's internal memory allows you to store up to 2 shows containing up to 120 cues each. Idea's disk drive allows you to store 2 complete shows on a standard 3.5-inch disc. The console also supports an optional serial printer that allows you to create printouts of all stored show information. Idea provides you with operating information via a standard liquid crystal display, or LCD. Idea has 2 rows of channel Submaster sliders. In channel mode, they control channel output levels. In Submaster mode, they control the output levels of Submasters. Depending on the size of the console you're working with, there are either 24, 48, 72, or 96 channel Submaster sliders arranged in 2 rows of 12, 24, 36, or 48 each. The number of control channels and Submasters is determined by the number of sliders on the console. Below each slider is a bump button. Bump buttons are another way to control the output of the sliders. Bump buttons work in either bump or solo modes. In bump mode, pressing a bump button raises the slider's level to 100% and holds it there for as long as the button is depressed. Other outputs are not affected. As in bump mode, pressing a bump button in solo mode also raises the slider's level to 100%, but it also reduces all other outputs to 0. When you release the bump button, all channels return to their previous levels. The X and Y crossfade sliders allow you to use the Idea as a 2-scene preset console. The X slider controls the output of the upper row of sliders. Y controls the output of the lower row. The sliders labeled Level and Rate control the output and speed of effects. Effects controls also include the Load and Step buttons. We will discuss how you create effects later in this program. Detailed information on effects is contained in your user manual. The sliders labeled A and B allow you to control the playback of recorded cues. If you prefer, you can use them to take manual control of fades in progress. The buttons labeled Go, Hold, Back, and Clear are also used to control cue playback. An optional video monitor is also available for the Idea. Both the LCD and the monitor provide you with information about console operation, prompt you to enter information, and identify the role of the function keys located below the LCD. These keys labeled F1, F2, F3, and F4 have different functions depending on the operation you're performing. The red LED to the left of the function keys indicates that they are active. We'll talk more about how they're used as we go. If your console is equipped with the optional video monitor, you will notice that when the function keys are active, the text displayed in the LCD also appears in the lower right-hand corner of the video display. The monitor allows you to view channel and Submaster output levels, as well as the channel to dimmer patch configuration. The keypad allows you to set channel levels and create cues, Submasters, and effects. Most of the information you enter here will appear on the LCD display and on the video monitor if your console is equipped with one. This is blackout. It allows you to force all console output to 0%. When activated, the message blackout appears on the LCD and video monitor. This is the Grand Master. It is a master control for all console output. If you set it at 0, all console outputs are set at 0 and the stage goes black. If you set it at 10, all channels output at 100% of the levels at which they're set. The Grandmaster level is displayed on both the LCD and video monitor. IDEA was designed with the default settings most requested by lighting professionals. These default settings include the 1-to-1 channel-to-dimmer patch and the restore, up-fade, and down-fade times. We'll talk about changing the channel-to-dimmer patch in just a minute. If you need to change any of the other default settings, consult your user manual. IDEA has 5 operating modes: Setup, Patch, Stage, Blind, and Help. In Stage mode, you have live, immediate control of lights. Changes you make to output levels are immediately visible on stage. When you record a cue or submaster in stage mode, the look is recorded exactly as you see it. In blind mode, you can create, modify, and delete cues without affecting the lights on stage. This means the board operator can work on the show during rehearsals and performances without interfering with the lights on stage. Patch display allows you to configure your dimmer to control channel scheme. As you can see, the video monitor displays significantly more information at one time than the LCD. Whether you have a video monitor or not, the procedure for patching is the same. In the default or 1-to-1 patch, dimmer 1 is assigned to channel 1, dimmer 2 is assigned to channel 2, and so on. If you have more dimmers than channels, the default patch assigns the first extra dimmer to channel 1, the second extra dimmer to channel 2, and so on. To select IDEA's default 1-to-1 patch, press Setup, F1, F4, Enter, Enter. In some situations, a custom patch may be the best way to meet the needs of your production. You can assign any group of dimmers to any channel, but a dimmer can only be patched to one channel at a time. In addition, you can create a proportional patch. In a proportional patch, you can patch dimmers, either individually or in groups, to a channel at a specified level. To demonstrate how this works, let's patch dimmers 2 through 5 at an output level of 50% to channel 2. Press Patch F2, 2 through 5, F3, 2, F4, 5, 0 to patch dimmers 2 through 5. Set at 50% output level to control channel 2. Press Stage, Blind, Setup, or Help to leave the patch display. The next display mode is Setup. Setup allows you to set console defaults, clear memories, access disk options, and print reports. Console default options include restore and fade times, as well as default patch. The Clear Memories option clears cues, submasters, effects, or all show information. Disk options include formatting a disk, recording a show to disk, and reading a show from disk. Print mode prints cues, submasters, and effects, or a combination of the three. Finally, the Help display provides a brief explanation of all available keys. Once again, this video is intended to highlight some of the IDEA's basic functions. Consult your user manual to get in-depth information. Now let's light your stage. We'll start with basic two-scene operation. In two-scene operation, the X and Y channel sliders and the XY crossfaders allow you to fade one scene out while simultaneously bringing up the next scene. First set the X crossfader at 10 and the Y crossfader at 0. Next, create the first scene by adjusting the channel sliders to set your lights at the desired levels. Now, set the Y channel sliders at the desired levels to create the next scene. Don't move the crossfaders yet. When you're ready to fade the first scene out and the next scene up, move both the X and Y crossfaders simultaneously, X to 0 and Y to 10. The control channel outputs set by the X sliders begin to fade out, and those set by the Y channel sliders begin to fade up. When the X crossfader reaches 0 and the Y crossfader reaches 10, the first scene is completely replaced by the second. Crossfading between scenes in two-scene mode is one of IDEA's most basic functions. To set up more complex effects, you'll need to understand submasters. A submaster is a group of channels recorded at various output levels. You can use submasters as building blocks for creating scenes, cues, effects, or even other submasters. To record a submaster, use the channel sliders to set the desired look on stage. Then press Record, Sub, and the bump button under the slider in which you want to record the submaster. The LED below each channel slider gives you important information about the status of the slider. If the LED is not lit, the slider is in channel mode. If the LED is lit, there is a submaster recorded in that slider, and it is in submaster mode. If the LED is flashing, it means that there is a submaster recorded in the slider, but the slider is in channel mode. If you're not sure which sliders contain submasters, press Sub. LEDs under the sliders that contain submasters flash. When you're done, press Stage or Blind to return to normal operating mode. There are two ways to control the output of a submaster. The first is to raise the slider in which the submaster is recorded. The second is to press the bump button below the slider. Before you can use a slider or its bump button to control submaster output, you need to make sure the slider is in submaster mode. To switch sliders from channel mode to submaster mode, press Sub. Press the bump buttons of the sliders you want to function in submaster mode, then press Enter. Notice that IDEA's video monitor displays sliders in submaster mode in yellow. A white number indicates a slider in channel mode. You cannot change a slider to submaster mode if there is no submaster recorded in it. If you want to use a slider to control a submaster, record the submaster first, then put the slider in submaster mode. To change an entire row of sliders to submaster mode, press Sub, then either F1 to change all the X sliders or F3 to change all the Y sliders. A cue is a channel or group of channels recorded at specific levels that can be played back through IDEA's timed A/B faders. IDEA allows you to create and store up to 120 cues in the console's internal memory. To keep things simple, first, make sure there are no cues in IDEA's memory. The first step in recording a cue in stage is to set channel levels to create the desired look. You can do this using either the channel sliders or the keypad. To record a cue using the channel sliders, press Stage. Set the sliders at the desired levels. Press Record, Cue, the desired cue number, and Enter. If you prefer, you can use the keypad to create cues. Try this example. Set channels 1 through 5 at 75% by pressing Stage 1 through 5 at 7/5. Now press Record and use the keypad to enter the number you would like to assign to the cue. Then press Enter. Last, press F4, Release. To bring a recorded cue up on stage, press Stage, Cue, and enter the desired cue number, then press Go. You can also record cues in blind. In blind, channel output levels are displayed in the LCD display and monitor, but do not affect the lights on stage. To record a cue in blind, press Blind, Cue. Use the keypad to enter the new cue number, then press Enter. Use the keypad to enter channel numbers and output levels. Then press Record, Enter. When you create a cue, IDEA assigns it default up and down fade times. You can modify that fade time using the function keys. Follow these steps to record a cue number 5 with an up fade time of 3 seconds and a down fade time of 6 seconds. First press Stage and use the keypad to enter channel numbers and output levels. Next, press Record 5, then F2 3. Note that you can enter time either in minutes and seconds or with a fraction of a second in decimal format. For the sake of simplicity, in this example, we have entered fade times in whole seconds. Press F3, 6, to enter a downfade time of 6 seconds. If you want the downfade time to be the same as the upfade time you just entered, press Enter. Last, press Enter, then F4. Deleting a cue removes it from the console's memory. You can only delete cues in blind mode. To delete the cue you just recorded, press Blind, Cue, 5, Enter, then press Clear. IDEA displays a message asking you to confirm that you want to delete the cue. Press Record if you want to delete it, or press Clear again to cancel the operation. IDEA plays back cues either manually or automatically. The console must be in stage mode to play back cues. To play back a cue in the A-B timed fader pair, press Stage to display stage mode. Press Q to indicate that you want to select a cue. Use the keypad to enter the number of the cue you want to play back, then press Go. IDEA readies the next recorded cue. Note that an IDEA console monitor in stage mode displays the current cue in the top third of the monitor screen. The next recorded cue is displayed in the middle third in the section called Preview. In addition to the Go button, there are 3 other buttons located near the A-B timed fader pair. The first, Hold, stops the playback of the cue in the fader pair. To resume playback, press Go. After you play back a cue, Back lets you automatically replay the cue that precedes it. The cue ignores any custom fade times and goes to the previous cue using IDEA's 1-second default fade time. Back plays cues based on their number, not on the order in which they are played. For example, if you have played back cues 1 and 2, then press Back. Cue 1 plays. But if you play cues 1 and 3, then press Back, cue 2 plays. If you press Back after playing the first cue, all levels fade to 0. Press Clear to clear any cues from the A-B fader pair. When the faders are set at 10, when you press Go, the cue plays back at its recorded fade time. If you prefer, you can use the A-B timed fader pair to override the cue's programmed fade times. Sometimes, after you have started a fade running, you may need to take manual control to either speed the fade up, slow it down, or pause it. As the cue runs, the LEDs next to the A and B faders track the progress of the fade. To take manual control, simply move the faders to meet the progress of the LEDs. This stops the fade at that point. Once you have stopped the fade, you can move the faders to continue or reverse its progress. Once you move the faders to either 0 or 10, though, the cue is removed from the fader and you no longer have manual control. When you set the faders lower than 10, the cue runs until the LEDs reach the faders. At this point, the fade stops. You may continue the fade manually from this point by moving the faders. To take manual control before you start the cue fading, set the faders at 0 before you press Go. Once you have recorded a cue, it's easy to change it. You can modify cues in either stage or blind modes. To make changes in stage, first select the desired cue, then press Go. Next, modify the cue. Then press Record, Enter to re-record the same cue number, or press Record Cue. Enter the cue number, then press Enter to record it as a new cue. To modify a cue in blind mode, press Blind, Cue, the cue number, and Enter. Use the keypad to enter channels and output levels. Press Record, Enter to re-record with the same number, or enter a new number and press Enter. There's a lot of information here. Please read the manual and practice what you've learned so far. Once you feel comfortable with IDEA's basic functions, you're ready to work with effects. An effect is a group of channels or submasters programmed to flash on stage in a repeating pattern. Each individual group is referred to as a step. IDEA can help you create effects of up to 48 individual steps. To avoid confusion, it's a good idea to decide which sliders will make up each step and what mode each slider will be in before you begin creating an effect. Only the lower row of channel sliders and bump buttons may be included in effects. An effect like this is called a loop. IDEA allows you to create loop, bounce, build, and random effects. Press Stage, Effect. Use the keypad to enter the number of the effect you want to create. IDEA will assign it number 1 if you don't give it a number. Press F1, Edit. Select a step number with the keypad. Again, if you don't select a number, IDEA begins with step 1. Press the bump buttons below each slider you want to include in the step. Bump button LEDs will light up, indicating that they are a part of that step. Remember that only sliders in the Y row may be included in the effect. Also, the position of the sliders you are including in steps have no bearing on the output of the step. The only way to modify the output level of steps is to use the level slider. We'll talk more about using the level slider in just a moment. Press F2 to record the step. You'll see the words New Step in the display change to Old Step. Press F1, Step, to move to the next step. Select the sliders you want to include and press F2 to record it. Keep repeating this for each step in the effect. Press Effect. Press F2. Type, to assign a type to the effect. If you don't assign an effect type, IDEA will assume you want to create a loop. To assign an effect type, press F1, Loop, F2, Bounce, F3, Build, or F4, Random. Press Stage, Blind, Setup, or Patch to leave the effect's editing mode. In a bounce effect, the steps run through in one direction, then reverse. In a build effect, each step adds its channels or submasters to the previous steps, up to and including the final step. Then the first step is played back alone and the sequence is repeated. In a random effect, all the steps are played in random order. No step is played twice until all the rest have been played. To run an effect, press Load, then use the keypad to enter the number of the desired effect. Press Load again to start the effect running. Use the level slider to set the effect output level. The output levels of the channels or submasters in the effect have no bearing on the output levels of the steps. The only way to control the output levels of the steps is by setting the slider labeled Level. The Rate slider allows you to control the rate at which an effect runs. The scale next to the slider indicates duration in seconds of each step. Move the slider to 10 to run the effect at a rate of about 1 effect step every 10 seconds. Set it at 0.05 to run the effect at a rate of 20 steps per second. Set the rate slider at Manual for manual operation. When the effect is in manual, press Step to advance the effect by 1 step. The step LED flashes once as each step is played. This has been a brief overview of the IDEA. If you have any questions that this video and the user manual can't answer, please call your authorized ETC dealer or call ETC at 800-688-4116.